most of you know by now what this chapter is about. So we're not going to spend too much time on that. And I think we should just get into everyone's biggest question, which is the cost.
So before we go to the cost, I'm going to walk you through the schedule and days. How are we going to do what we're going to do in Panama? Let me start sharing the screen. Okay. Okay. So I sent this out as a link before, and all of you guys should have access to this page. We are going to be spending 7 days in Panama, and on day 1, it's just about getting settled in. They will be introducing us to what we will be doing through the rest of the days. And depending on what time we get there, this part can change. And the first day is pretty much about introduction, showing us where we're going to stay, showing us which clinic are we going to, if we're going to the eastern part of Panama or the western part, and all of that stuff. They also have this holistic model days, which is pretty much the same introduction. And they're going to tell us how we are going to be operating on the next 4 days, which is the day 2 to day 6. They're also going to, on the first day, they're also going to show us this part, which is just preparing us to what to expect. And like they'll show us how to take blood pressure, how to take temperature, pulse ox, all the vitals that you might have to take on the clinic days. And for days 2 to 6, those are going to be divided into these clinic days. And there's going to be, depending on how many people we have, we're going to be transported from the camp to the site where we will be taking part in this clinic. And there, our duties would be like taking vitals, packing medicines, and helping out with whatever the doctor might need the help with. And we're also going to be shadowing doctors over there and recording patient charts. So that'll be our day-to-day. It will be a standard 8 to 5 p.m., which I was told technically it might not go like that. Some days we might start early and come back early. And some days we can maybe start late and come back late, depending on what the supervisor has for us on that day. And once we come back, we have dinner and we have a little bit of free time because technically we wouldn't be back. I mean, we would be back before 5 p.m. Okay, so moving on to cost. So on this page itself, when you go down, and most of you probably have seen this, this is where we are. Depending on the number of people that come with us, we have our costs in like 3 tiers. My guess is that we're going to be in this tier, which is 18 to 39 volunteers. And the cost for that is $1,500. But since, so basically they had an incentive where we could sign up for this summer and we would all get $100 off of our donation goal. So I chose that time when I talked with them earlier. And since we're going in August, that's going to be $1,400 each for us. And that will be our donation goal. Now, the way this works is we can still share resources. For example, if I am able to get more than $1,400, I can decide where to put the extra money and we can pool the whole donations that we collect. And so we have 2 goals, which is one individual goal for ourselves, and the second goal is for the brigade. So as a whole, Global Medical Brigades NC State goal.
Hey, I did not see you.
So we also have a goal for the whole chapter. And if one person is able to get more and the other person gets less, we can still pool those resources. So that's the cost part. Does anybody have any questions that they want to ask right now?
Hiram, you're not on mute.
Thank you. Did anybody have any questions before we move on? Okay. Another thing that I should tell you about the cost is there is no refund policy. So what I mean by that is if you sign up to be a volunteer today or tomorrow, and then 3 months down the road or 2 months down, you're like, I could not reach the goal of volunteering, so I would like to quit now. In that case, you have 1 month to decide if you want to share the money that you collected with this chapter going to Panama in August, or you also have one whole year to keep that money for yourself in case you want to go on another brigade with the same group from NC State or from any other college or any other group. If you want to go on the medical brigade in the future 1 year time, you have an option to do that too. So that's the cost part of this. Now, Risha will tell you a little bit about how we are planning to get this as an official club at NC State and the leadership positions that we will have in future.
I didn't want to go to this thing. Okay, yeah, what were you saying?
Are you leaving at 7:15 or lab starts at 7:15?
Starts at 7:30, so I'll leave at 7:15.
I can't creep there.
Sonali, I don't think you're on mute right now. Sorry guys, just be sure to mute yourselves. But anyways, yeah, so it is too late to make it official club this year, but we will be doing that process in May. So it'll be set up for the next academic year, but there are some leadership positions that we have available right now, and we'll send out the form to apply for those after this meeting. And I think we'll let you know when you need to apply by, but we'll need some people for our fundraising board. I think we'll be picking about 3 people. We'll need a treasurer and also a recruitment chair. And in the future, when we set up the club, we will be picking a person as vice president, and there will be a few more positions, but we will let you guys know, and that will come in the later months after we see how things are going so far. But yeah, does anyone have any questions about the positions or anything? So for the, sorry.
Yeah, I was gonna say I read a question about flights in the chat. So how that's gonna work is once we have all the volunteers sign up on our website, me and Risha, the chapter leaders, are going to coordinate with the Global Medical Brigades people that get us all booked for the flights. Technically, we want everybody to go on the same flight. We want everybody to get at the airport at the same time so that the transport from the airport to the camp that we'll be staying at, that's just one bus or 1 or 2 cars or whatever, but all of us together. And for the cost of flight, I think I asked the same question to the guy in Panama yesterday, and he told me that the sooner we get the volunteers signed up, the sooner we can book the flights and the cheaper they are. But to get an estimate, your guess is as good as mine. You can check it on Google Flights or any website you prefer. But that is the situation, that the sooner we get volunteers, the sooner we get people signed up, and sooner we can book flights together. Another question is so the 1,500, or it's actually 1,400, the donation, that covers the transportation, food, lodging, and emergency insurance. That covers pretty much everything that you will be responsible for in Panama, except for the expensive gifts you want to buy. But except from that, everything is covered. The only other expense you would have is the flight. but since we'll be doing it together and with and through medical brigades, that might be, they might also fetch us a good deal. Any other questions? Okay, I'm gonna walk you guys through how to sign up to be a volunteer. And okay, so this is our official page for NC State, and I will be sending this link to all of you guys tonight. Once you get here, you have to click on this volunteer tab, and then it will take you here. You fill up your name, if you want, you can read all of this, and then you fill up everything here and then agree and then continue. Once you do that, you will show up on this page as one of the volunteers like Risha does. And then once you're signed up, you can keep sharing this link. This is the link that you'll be sharing with everybody. Whoever wants to donate to you personally, or if somebody wants to donate to the whole chapter, then they can do that through here. So we need all the volunteers who are ready to go to Panama this summer. We need everybody to sign up here, and then they can start collecting the money. It is about 2 months, 2 to 3 months left for us to get the donation goal right. So I would encourage all of you to sign up as soon as possible. And I'll be sending the link right after this meeting. Okay. Any questions about that? Okay. So we did get some, let me check the chat. Okay. So the luggage is, as far as I am sure, you get one, you could, depending on which flight we pick, you could either get one big bag, which is about 50 pounds, and one small carry-on bag. But it all depends on the flight we take, the airline we choose. So that would be something to worry about in the future. But I'm sure one big bag and one small bag. The donation money, so if somebody comes here and he or she donates using this link, then that's going to go to Risha's personal donation. And if it's loading, or they can also choose it here. They can choose your name once you're signed up. And if they donate it here, it goes to the whole chapter fund. But in terms of where the money is going, it's going to the nonprofit organization, Global Medical Brigades. And I will go to setting up all the clinics and all the supplies that they need in Panama and all of that. Does that answer the question? Go ahead.
Okay, so for the safety question, I believe there are safety like teams. I think we'll have people who are part of Global Brigades who work on a security team near us. That's what our PA said, but we can get more information about that and let you know.
Yeah, so every time we're going to and from the clinic, we get a pace car in front of us. So even if we're traveling through a big bus, we will have a small car in front of us that will be responsible for our security. And they also have a security team at all the clinics and where we'll be staying. And if you have any specific questions about that, we can get you connected with the guy in Panama, and I think he's going to be here for the last 4 to 5 minutes, and you can ask him. It'll be a good question for him. The other question, I just got a question. Okay, what type of clothes? Depending on the weather, I would say you don't have to bring anything like scrubs or anything. I think it might be closed-toed shoes, jeans or long pants, and they will provide the polos over there. And you can make the other decisions based on the weather. Any other questions before we move on?
I see one question about what we have to do to raise the money.
Oh,
So
okay.
we'll be doing fundraisers as a chapter once we find people for our fundraising board, which is going to be hopefully very soon. But yeah, we'll do that together, and you can also share your personal fundraising link to people you know and see if they can donate to you or to your page so you can meet your personal donation goal.
Yeah, so once we have volunteers signed up, there is also this option. I remember I shared the link with you guys, but everybody can see my screen, right?
Yeah.
If you go to Global Medical Brigades, you go here, and then you click here and volunteer tools. So this is the volunteer resource site that I shared earlier. You can choose from the fundraising tools that they have. The safety and security, you can consult that, the earlier question about safety. All of the things that you might have problems with should be available here. And for the fundraising tools, you choose USA, and then from here you can go ahead and you have to do all this. You have to choose that and then choose Panama. But if you consult that website, you should have most of the answers. Okay, you can choose Panama here. And they take you to the document where they discuss what to do. And you shouldn't be stressed about this. All of us will be setting up, as Risa said, we'll be setting up a fundraising group soon, and then we can go from there. And all of us are doing this for the first time, so there's no experts here. We'll all help each other and we'll keep talking about it. The dues, I know there's a set deadline that they guys have. So Global Medical Brigades will share that deadline with us. And once everybody is signed up, we will get that deadline where I think it's a 3-part deadline where you're supposed to meet a certain goal before the first deadline, a certain goal before the second and the third. And that's how that works. The last test that we can book our trip. The last test, I think, was 2 weeks before the brigade, is what I was told. But you can ask it again when Michael joins us. Okay, one last thing that I wanted to show you guys is the FAQs that we got. Before we move on though, do any of you guys have any questions? Okay. Let me take you to the, okay. So I'm just gonna read the questions that we got through the form and I'm gonna try to answer them. And if at any point you guys think you need more clarification, then you can let me know. So the first one was, where would we be staying and how much would the trip cost? Cost is, I've covered that one. So it's $1,400 again, but where would we be staying? I was told it depends on where we are needed. So in the month that we have chosen, it's either going to be East or West Panama. And then the community will depend on the availability of like a place to stay, the clinic that needs staff and stuff like that. It's all decided by the supervisor, and that will be chosen once we have all the volunteers sign up. The next question was, are there any vaccine requirements to enter Panama? And the only vaccine requirements are the 2 COVID vaccines, and they recommend that we take our COVID vaccination card with us when we go there. Where in Panama, and is it rural? So the answer for that is it is rural, and we don't know yet where it will take place. As I said before, it depends on how many volunteers we have and where our help is needed the most, and the supervisor will set us up there. Would this experience count for any hours towards the grad program? This experience can count towards a lot of grad programs. Now, I personally am going to be applying to medical school, so I'm going to be doing this for that. And the question about how many hours you can write, they do have a standard, but that standard depends on where we go and how many hours we work and what tasks we do. So that would be also provided in the future. The other question, how long the specific work hours may be. So so the medical clinic days are supposed to be 8 to 5, but that can change depending on when we leave, when we are needed, but it will never exceed the 8-hour limit, and we will still all have time in the evening to relax and explore. The next question was, would we be volunteering the entire time, or would we also have time to explore? So for exploration, I think the trip is 7 days, and the first day is introduction, so you will have a little time over there. And the last day is something that we all have to decide as a group. So I was thinking to hold back on that until we have all the volunteers signed up. And once we have everybody signed up and we do another meeting, we can discuss what to do with the 7th day. And that would be the day to explore. Otherwise, we're busy 8 to 5, and in the evening, you still are free to do what you want to do. And then what type of transportation? So I was told if our group is more than, I think, 20 people, then we get a bus. Otherwise, we might get 2 small buses with like the 10 people capacity and 1 pace car in the front. We're responsible for our security and safety. Okay. So specific tasks that volunteers do, as I mentioned before, it's taking vitals, blood pressure, temperature, pulse ox, and they'll teach all of us how to do that on the introduction day. We are also sometimes asked to fill up prescriptions or medications for the patients, and we shadow doctors. We are also responsible to do the patient charting and any other tasks that they might need help with. So there's no fixed plan that we would only be doing one particular thing, but it's all going to be explained to us on day 1, and we will go from there. And there was a question about, will we be trained to do, or will there be any formal training? And the answer to that is, on the day we arrive, we would be oriented on what to expect, what to do, and they will teach us everything that they ask us to do. Upon talking to Michael in Panama, I was also told that it is very dynamic situation where we will be going. So in case you are asked to do something that you don't know, or you were not giving a thorough explanation of what to do, then you can ask. And that something like that is more likely to happen because it is a clinic in rural setting and we're just there to help. So it's gonna be a little weird depending on where we go. That's it for the FAQs. Any other specific questions for me?
Anyways, hi everyone. Hi Nish.
Hey.
So my name is Michael Vega. I'll be your PA for this journey. I'm here if you have any specifics. I'm sorry I don't have my camera on. I'm out of office right now, so I'm just joining in right now because some of you might have other type of questions that weren't in the FAQs. So I'll be here to answer them.
Yeah, he's the person who will be leading us in Panama, and I can ask the questions that came up earlier. Until then, you guys should think about it if you have any questions that might be better answered by Mike. So Mike, there was one question earlier that came up. It was about safety. Okay, the question was, my family is worried about safety. What can I say to assure them?
So Global Brigades is actually part of the International Safety for Volunteers that it's linked to the US government. We received updates in safety, and the safety protocol that we have is actually provided by them as well. So that's why the logistics part is something that we take really seriously. And not only the communities that we work with have been already investigated for several years, or we have a team that first checks on every single community so that we can guarantee the safety. Besides that, the communities that we work with are far away from the city, where the main population of Panama focuses in. So it's not like you will see a huge amount of people that are out of different places, but you will likely just be working with villagers or people from the community. So it's far away from the main focus where the traffic people is like in the main city in Panama. So you'll be far away from dangerous communities that can be categorized like that by any kind of government. Besides that, we have different information in the communities that we work with in the Global Brigade sites, where you can see previous brigades that have gone effectively and have been completed, and everyone was satisfied.
Thank you for that, Mike. Another question was, when are the dues due? So, and along with that, there was another that when is the latest that we can back out of the trip, just in case of emergencies?
Okay, so let me check my phone real quick. I know I have your dates in my phone. So since you're programmed for August, there are due dates. For example, the first one would be in, so in April 23rd. That would be the first like reminder, and after that, the due date for the initial donation deadline would be the 97th. So the initial donation deadline would be $150, which is technically used by the travel team and us to first secure like the logistics, the time investment that we are all doing, and for the reservation of airfares. That's also used by the travel team. Then after that, we will have a travel donation deadline, which would be when you finally need to have your airfare booked. That would be 60 days prior to the brigade. When you say backing out, there's something that we need to understand. Everyone, if they have something, a problem, an issue, they can always back out. There's not actually like a fee we want to place on you by backing out. But since we are in non-profit O&D, we have a non-refund policy, because it's still if someone backs out, there's different options how it can be used. It can be transferred to another participant that is going to be traveling to the brigade. You can do your arrangements with them, Or the other way is that it can be used for a future brigade, and we give you up to a year's lapse to decide what type of brigade would you be joining to and still have the experience. But since it goes to a non-profit organization, there's a non-refund policy regarding this. But you can still back out if there's something going on, and we'll give you the tools to let us know how do you want us to use your funds. You want it to move to someone else? Do you want to invest it in a future brigade? So there are options.
Okay. Another question just came in. It is, so are the donations to sponsor the trip, or are the $1,400 something we're paying apart from the donations?
Okay, so the donation goal, the 1,400, those are not only for paying the trip. That's the donation goal, and then we have the airfare. But the donation goal is not only used for the logistics, the payment of staff, compounds, and all of that, but it's also used to buy stocks, supplies that we keep the communities supplied with constantly. So that's why it's a donation goal, and it's part of what you'll be doing over there. I don't know if I'm explaining myself.
Okay.
So
I think,
it
does
will
that answer the
takes
question?
it takes all in.
Okay, another question is, does our lodging have a good reception? Will we have to pay international fees to call home?
Okay, so some lodging facilities don't have a good reception. I gotta be honest with that. But this is something that you can request to Nish, and Nish as a chapter leader or Risha, they can reach out to me and just let me know, and I'll put that as a request that you want to be uh, in a lodging facility or a compound that has a good reception. Although, if you're traveling to a country like Panama, you would have to maybe either you buy a Panamanian ship or to call home, or you just activate your roaming from your telephone company. But
Okay.
yes, fees may apply. There are some areas or some lodging facilities that have Wi-Fi in specific places, but that would be another request actually. So it's not something that we can expect on having good reception. But if you can put roaming in your phone so you can call internationally, that'd be great.
Okay. So yeah, we can discuss that part as a group, and before we go, we can make arrangements for that. Any other questions? Okay. Thank you, Mike, for coming. I think that's it for the questions.
Of course, my pleasure. And remember, if you have any other questions or any other volunteers that might want to join in over here, you can always ask Nish, and I'll be available. He will send me a chat or an email. And once we get this group going, I'll be sending you more webinars, information regarding all the things that you would need as a guidance. So I hope it's all good and we can get started with this journey.
Yes. Okay. So I'm gonna share the website link of our official NC State Global Medical Brigades as soon as we're done with this meeting. And for the next steps, I encourage all of you guys to go ahead and sign up as a volunteer. And so that we can get it rolling, we can start appointing leaders for our fundraiser chair, our treasurer. We can start doing all of that, and we can start booking flights, since we all could use cheap flights. And yeah, so if you have any questions, you can either email me or you can ask it in the group me. Group me is the fastest way, but you can also email me. And if you have any specific questions for Mike, you can let me know and I can connect you guys. So that's that. And thank you all for coming. Let me know if you have any questions.